Everybody, welcome back to Bayou Time. Harry McCullough here. We're joined by Chett Chiasson, who's the Executive Director of the Greater Lafourche Port Commission. Hey, Chett, thanks so much for being with us. Now it's by 120 days, 130 days since Ida. We keep revisiting a lot of that, but y'all took a big pounding down the Bayou, the Port Commission. So how's life after Ida? Any updates on what's happening down there?
Oh yeah, thanks for having me on, Harry. Look, we're just like everyone else, continuing to pick up the pieces and do the things necessary to move on with our lives and try to continue to service the energy needs of our country. So, we're very happy to say that our debris is pretty much getting finally picked up off of all the streets in the port and roads in the port and getting to, the landfill, getting it out of there. So whenever you get that finalized, kind of feels like you can breathe a little bit and continue to see some progress. We're finally getting through the process all these months later to satisfy FEMA when you have to. There's a process to get through the FEMA situation. So you have to bid everything out. You have to bid out for your consultants. You have to bid out for your engineers. You have to bid out for your architects. You have to bid out for environmental assessments. So we're pretty much through all of those processes. So now we can move forward and actually seeing some work take place in the coming months. So we're happy to be at that point.
Right. So work is with you, what you guys do. So you almost got two tracks of one rebuilding, one building, and just normal working business plan. So how much got disrupted in 2021 and how much of that'll move into 2022?
Yeah, so we're in a constant phase of construction here in the port, and just from the Port Authority standpoint, in terms of both the airport and the port in Fouchon. So some of that got pushed back a little bit. We had some dredging work for the new Slip D that had some delays and things, so getting pushed into 2022 for finalizing those projects, and then just moving forward. So, the budgeting process towards the end of 2021 was pretty interesting, because when you have an aggressive budget typically, and then you have all these repair work on top of it, it makes for a pretty large, daunting budget task, to say the least. So, we have a pretty large budget, and a very aggressive one. Now, typically we can't get through all of those projects that we budget, but we budget very conservatively. So we have a pretty large budget, like I said, when you look at capital construction, operations, and our emergency work in terms of responding to the damages that Hurricane Ida caused. We're at about $90 million in terms of total budget, which is a lot.
Right.
We probably won't get there, like I said, because we budget very conservatively. But we have a lot of work to do, and we're going to do our best to get a considerable amount of that done in the next year.
Yeah, I mean, even with that, with the new infrastructure bill, they're always looking for shovel-ready projects, and I know the ports across the United States are one area that they wanted to really upgrade. So I guess that was all part of it too, the planning for future events and what's going on. Anything big in the future that we're looking at? I've heard LNG down in that area. I mean, y'all getting prepared for anything like that?
Yeah, we're continuing to work ourselves through getting some deepening done. So, we're at 27 foot of draft now. We're working ourselves to get to 33 feet. We're trying to get that. We got authorized, but there's some work we need to do with the Corps District Office to finalize our environmental impact statement. So we're moving through that. We have some work, really to utilize that material that we're going to dredge out of Belle Pass and Bayou Lafourche in our northern expansion to get us to 30 to 33 feet. We're going to use all that material beneficially to rebuild some of the marsh areas in and around the port area. So, we're trying to think about as we think about navigation, we also want to think about the environment that we live in, which we all do every day, and try to do the best we can with what is given to us.
Yeah, no, that's been a real interesting, and it's great that y'all can use those spoils to help rebuild land and rebuilt a lot of it. Is that stuff still there after this storm?
It is still there. We have a little bit, not a bunch more than normal, but we do have a little bit that we need to get rid of. So we're going to be working on that in some of our areas that the port is responsible for, as well as the Corps of Engineers has a little maintenance project that's going to be coming in later this year in the late spring, early summer to get some of that material out of Bell Pass and just do some maintenance dredging there. So we're working closely with them. And as we look forward towards the future, you mentioned LNG. You know, we're looking at all the realms of possibility in terms of the different types of energy that are going to be put out there on the market. You know, offshore wind is a hot topic now. We've been having a lot of discussions about that and trying to position Port Fourchon to be just like we are for offshore oil and gas today, to be that service base because of the expertise and the capabilities we have, to be that service base for offshore wind if and when that does happen, and we think it's when, not if.
Obviously, the LA1 project that was shovel ready even before the storm and before infrastructure bill. So, give us an update on that and how will that affect? And I guess that'll affect you guys on a good side, right?
Sure, absolutely. So we're very, very proud to be a part of the team that helped, along with the state legislature, the governor, our congressional delegation, and the locals and industry that all work together to get that project finalized at phase 2, all that funding package together. The Port Commission, we put up $25 million for the project, $5 million a year for the next 5 years. Well, we just made our first payment in December. So we have skin in the game for sure, because it's critically important for not only the port, but for the community and the economics that it brings for our community, both from a local, regional, state, and national economic factor. So that's moving along. We should see some activity late in the first quarter, early second quarter. Outside of that $25 million investment that the Port Commission is making to the project, we also have done historically for the first phase, and we're doing for this next phase, the mitigation work for the project. So we've spent about, at the end of the day, it's going to be somewhere around $4 million on actually mitigating, the impacts to the marsh in that area of construction for the LA1 project. So we're deeply involved in the project and have been a part of it since 1996 when the LA1 coalition was created, kind of pushing for this road. So, it's a good day when we're going to start to see some actual work taking place, and that'll be about a 5-year project. So, over the next 5 years, we'll have to worry about those elevated tides for every storm event coming that area, and then after that, in terms of accessing and safety for the port and the people that work there, most importantly, we'll have better access and safer access for the residents of Grand Isle, as well as for the businesses in the community of Port Fourchon.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that for sure. You guys, that'll make a big difference getting down there and for everybody. So it's a great drive now. It'll be real pretty to do it then. Hey, I don't know how secretive y'all are as far as future plans with competition from other ports and all, but real interesting where our world is right now, our country in particular, when we're changing. Oil and gas is always going to be a part of it. But it seems like we're getting less and less of the oil. So what are some of the new spots you guys are trying to be in front of as a port? We talked about LNG, liquefied natural gas, but there are other things, wind power, that kind of stuff. What are some of the things y'all preparing for so y'all be there when the next thing happens?
Right. Yeah, look, we've been working on the potential of a liquefied natural gas small scale facility in Port Fourchon for many years now. We unfortunately got off the ground with a company about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, and they just didn't move very much. So, you know, we like the ideas of projects, but we like them to come to fruition. If it doesn't look like they're going to come to fruition, we're going to try to move in a direction where we can find someone that's actually going to do the work. So we've moved that old company out. The Fouchon LNG project that a company called Energy World was going to do is no longer kind of there anymore. So we're working with another company not to be said at this point, but we're working with another company for the potential of doing a liquefied natural gas conversion terminal, small scale again, that could then maybe turn into some other new types of energy that are out there. So that's very promising, and we're excited about embarking on that work. The other thing that we're really looking at and focused on is offshore wind, and what is that going to look like in the Gulf of Mexico? It looks like there's going to be a lease sale at the end of this year in the Gulf of Mexico for offshore wind farm development. So we're involved with that, and I'm I sit with a number of folks from this area. Chett Chiasson, Representative Joe Ogeron, and others sit on the BOEM Gulf of Mexico Offshore Wind Task Force to, kind of looking at how that can happen here in the Gulf of Mexico. So we're trying to position Port Fourchon to be that day-to-day service base because of the expertise, the capability that we have in the port, and the expertise we have in Louisiana to build and fabricate and put together these types of offshore structures. So, that's one thing. The other side of that is not just from the wind turbine side, it's actually transmitting that power that would be generated offshore wind fields back into Louisiana.
It's got to go,
right?
yeah.
So you have to bring the power
powering
back.
rigs, right? Yeah.
Sometimes we fail to talk about that part of it. It's one thing to create the power, it's another thing to get it back into land. So we're looking at that aspect as well as, being that there's such a large amount of transmission of power that comes into Port Fourchon because of because of Loop, because of the facilities in the port, it's a logical place to bring that power back in. So we're looking at what does that mean as well.
Oh, that's awesome, and it's great to know there's something out there, and we're ready for it when it happens. I also, on another topic or another time, we'll talk about hydrogen, which is also one of those ones that's kind of out there and something that might be in our future as well. So Chett Chiasson, the Executive Director of the Greater Port Commission, thanks so much. We appreciate you being with us.
Thanks, Harry.
Okay, we'll be right back with more Bite Time right after this.